So you think a stock is up too much, but you're not know how to short. You've tried shorting in the past and you've gotten your proverbial head ripped off. You hear about how all these short sellers bank in the markets, but you aren't. Well, in this video, we're going to teach you how to make a short trade in detail. We're going to discuss a setup that you can employ for your trading account. And as always, we hope that this video helps you improve as a trader to grow your trading account. Hi, I'm Mike Bellafiore, managing partner of SMB Capital, a proprietary trading firm located in Midtown Manhattan. And I'm also the author of the trading classic, One Good Trade in the Playbook. Click our subscribe button so you don't miss any of our trading videos that we're producing for the trading community. In this video, you're going to learn how to short a stock. You're also going to learn a specific setup taught in detail that you can use to short a stock. The importance of matching your trading strategies with your personality and cognitive strengths. How to add to a winning position, how to break a trade down into a playbook trade, how to take profits in winning positions, how to think through a trade like a pro. For those who want to learn how to short a stock with a specific trade taught in detail, we hope this video helps. Hey, if you want to learn 3 more real-world setups that our traders use, including the simple setup that we teach all of our new traders, and the setup that turned one of our traders into a 7-figure big money earner, check out the free webinar that we're currently running. Just go ahead and click the link that should be appearing right now at the top right-hand corner of your screen. That's going to open up the free registration page in a new window, so don't worry, you're not going to lose this video. Go ahead and do it now before you forget. You're going to learn more in a couple of hours from this trading workshop than from years of online education.
All right, so this was a low float backside trade in MBOT that happened yesterday. A big picture, MBOT is a microcap low float, trash name that's just on its road to zero. Has a history of stock splits and offerings, and day one of the move, which was Monday on 114, it traded 300+% after a report came out in the pre-market that they had positive results in a study for the operational effectiveness of their self-cleaning shunt. Basically, it's like no real news. It wasn't like a legitimate FDA study or anything. So I guess just kind of excuse for people to pile into a low float name. But yesterday, well, I guess this was Monday, there was nothing dilutive in effect. Jacob brought this up in the morning, which is good research. There was nothing dilutive, no warrants, offerings, ATMs in their filings. And this combined with their 1.8 million float and high short float contributed to the huge run ahead. And today, this was yesterday, at 8 a.m. pre-market, there was a 3 million direct offering priced at the market at $6.50 per share to one institutional investor. So this kind of lowered in a lot of morning shorts, which helped contribute to that huge squeeze it had pretty much right on the open. And they actually had a second offering, 2 in one day. It's the first time I've seen that. Another $6 million direct offering to a few institutional investors at about 2:30, and this was already mid backside. So that just led to even more selling, more unwind.
One question.
Sure.
So I don't think everybody knows what all that means in terms of there's an offering, there's a second offering. So when you see that there's an offering, what do you think that means for the stock potentially?
So that's it contributes to dilution, and if they have a lot of shares that they can sell when the price spikes up, they're going to want to dump it while they can, and get higher price per share. So a lot of times when you see like big offerings and the stock price spikes up, a lot of the times it trades straight down on the open because they can sell straight into everybody.
Yeah, the idea is when you see an offering like that, hey, the stock should go at least towards that price, right?
Right.
If there's going to be a big block that's sold there. That's the theory. That is what people are thinking. Jacob, what are you thinking?
Well, if there is an offering?
If there's an offering, correct.
if there's an offering, then I'm thinking similar to what Scott said. I'm thinking that there's that possibility, but also I'm aware that the people that are doing the offering are and could be and are probably smarter than me, so they could let it run first before they decide.
Yeah, and that's what I mean by it's a theory, which is the theory is, and what generally happens is when an announcement comes out like that, that there's going to be a secondary, an offering, that it will trade down from its elevated price, but it doesn't have to do that right away. And so the key is it going to do that? And then if it's going to do that, when's it going to do it? All right, so let's keep going.
Okay. Intraday fundamentals, average daily volume was about, it should say 300,000. That's the float actually. The R-vol yesterday was about 15. The short float was 26%, and that was when it was last reported. That's the most recent statistic I could find, so it was likely a lot higher after day one when people are piling in.
Short interest is like 150%.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so everyone wants to short these things that go up, 300%. So it's likely much higher. Institutional ownership. This actually had, somewhat decent institutional ownership for, a micro cap stock, 15%. The float was 1.85 million, but Jacob brought up again that the effective float was probably somewhere around 1.35 going into, day one and day two, because 25% was short. So technical analysis, this is just the weekly chart. I kind of did it since the company went public, which was in 2010, and basically straight down, grinding to zero. You can't even see the chart at the end of it there because it's basically going to zero. And on the daily, we had a big run up the past 2 days on the highest volume the stock has ever seen. So a big burst of volume out of nowhere on that news. Technical analysis on the 5-minute. We can see day one on the left there, basically grinded up, making higher highs and higher lows all day, making a 300+% move, which is pretty wild, closing near $10 a share. And then I'll kind of talk about day two in a slide or two. So the backside trade strategy and process for me, I tend to be a bit more risk averse in my trading, and I like to see a lot of confirmation and like a clear level to risk against before I jump in. So I'm not going to be the person to kind of hammer into a kill candle and hope it goes lower. I'd like to see, primarily what I'd like to see is a kill candle that consolidates under VWAP, kind of pulls back towards it and then starts to curl over again. That's a pretty consistent pattern that happens with these.
Yeah, and this is a really important point. This is really, really good. This is really, really important, what you're saying. And so it's very easy, particularly on a prop desk like this, for people to gravitate towards the trader who makes the highest P&L. Let me just go find the trader with the highest P&L and copy that trader. Or let me go find the trader with the highest P&L on the internet and copy that trader. Assuming that it's actually his real P&L, but that's a completely different video. And what you will come to recognize when you become a trader and you see the guys out there, who put up big numbers, you can't just copy the guy with the biggest P&L. You need to go figure out, why is he choosing that stock? What trade setups is he looking at? What are his rules for trading that stock? And then really importantly, does that work for me? And so great that we're identifying a stock, and great that we have this thesis that, hey, this is up too much, but to put a good trade together, we have to have a thesis. This stock is overbought. And then we have to have a trade setup in your playbook. And notice I said a trade setup in your playbook, not a trade setup in the trader who puts up the most P&L's playbook. And then you got to fight for price, and you also have to look for a setup that has a really good risk reward for you, and that and only that will equal a really good trade. So it's not just thesis, and it's not thesis follow the biggest trader. It's thesis plus trade setup in your playbook, plus see it, plus fight for price equals one good trade. And so you recognize, and this is super important, Dr. Steenberg wrote a great piece about this morning, about your job, our job here is to awaken your talent. And we can't awaken your talent, whatever it is, unless you understand what your personality and cognitive strengths are. And so you need to find the way to trade this backside trade that is best for your personality and your cognitive skills. It's not going to work for you if you probably try to trade like Shark. Shark, and we love Shark, and Shark will probably make the most money in this, but he's going to draw down $100,000 before the thing even remotely ticks down. Okay? And that's how he needs to trade. His strength is he has good conviction and idea, and he develops really good ideas, and he's really aggressive. You may notice that Swang, who sits right next to him, is trading the same stock on the same side as him, okay, in the same direction as him, for the most part. I don't think he's lost a dollar.
You never do that.
Okay? And he made like over 50 yesterday. He's made over a bunch today. I think he's over 25 today, 25,000 today. And we're halfway through the day. He'll put up a bunch more. They're different, right? They're different traders. And Raf has made a bunch of money on the long side and has a different way of looking at it. And so this is super important what you're doing right here, which is understanding how you want to attack it and developing your system that makes sense to you. If you were to try and employ Shark's trading system, it wouldn't work for you. And I can tell you that we have a whole bunch of guys on Shark's team. They all make money. They all pretty much trade the same stocks in the same direction, and they all trade differently because they can't just copy exactly how he does it. They have different talents.
So ideally, I'd like to wait for that consolidation under VWAP to begin to roll over again before I start to scale in, and typically risk above that consolidation rather than up to VWAP or risking a couple dollars. This is just some more technical analysis. You can see in the pre-market, that's when the offering kicked in right at 8 a.m. It was reported, and immediately people piled in to the short side and started selling it. But started bouncing back and didn't even hit 650. That was the offering price, which was a little interesting. And then right on the open, it reclaims $10 and just rips straight up, to basically almost $20. Huge short squeeze, hitting it out all the day one shorts, all the pre-market shorts, as well as all the longs, so you don't want to miss this move chasing it up. Then a changing characteristic from day one is that we couldn't keep making higher lows and higher highs, and price started to compress against that $17 level. It looked like it was holding up pretty well for a couple hours, and then finally it cracked on that I think it was about $1.80, that kill candle straight through VWAP, and it was actually halted, continued down a little bit, and then we get that consolidation, and right there, when it starts to curl back over, that's where ideally I'd like to start scaling in with the risk against that, the top of that consolidation right there.
This is really important, and this is why we actually have you guys do playbook trades, because I'm sure there are people that are looking at this and they're saying, well, why are you not trying to short the tops? You're thinking about shorting this thing, essentially 3 points plus from the top. Why don't I want to be the guy who tries and figures out how to catch these tops and get short there? That's a perfectly legitimate way to trade, to try and catch tops. It's hard. I think it's best for experienced traders. It's a different type of trade. It has its own set of variables. You look for the stock to kind of stop going up and see that on the tape. It can't really make new highs. There's a bunch of other rules to that, but it's a trade, trying to catch top. And so some other people watching this video might be like, well, why don't you short here, jackass? It's a lower high. Don't you read any technical analysis books? And that is a perfectly legitimate trade. That is a playbook trade, a lower high playbook trade. It will have its own variables, it will have its own rules. As you said and did really well, it'll have its own system, and it'll have its own system for you. But legitimate trade. And probably not good for your personality though, right? Because you're gonna be wrong on a bunch of these trades. There's gonna be people who short right here, and what's gonna happen? It's gonna make a new high. Oops. And take big losses. And then some people are saying, oh, well, wait a second. It's now below this first consolidation area and has a big, deep red candle. You know, why are you not shorting it there? Why don't you think that's the kill candle? And I think for certain traders that you can make that into a trade. You can make that into your backside trade. The kill candle is not as pronounced. It's still not clearly the backside because it's hanging up. It's still above this last important consolidation area from the open. And you know, the volume that comes in is okay, but not pronounced. To me, it could be a turn, but it's not as pronounced as a kill candle. But there are going to be some people that turn that into the backside trade. They're going to be a little bit more aggressive, perfectly fine. And then, you know, people are saying, well, why aren't you shorting here? You know, same thing. Backside's not as pronounced. And then people are saying, well, why don't you short below here? And you can. And this is a momentum trade. This is a separate trade. There were many people on the desk who traded this down move. It was hard to get, I think, a lot of stock into this. It dropped out really quickly, right?
Yeah.
But this is a momentum trade. It has a separate way that you attack it. You know, you hit the bids real hard. When it stops going down, you take it off. You're playing for the stock to clearly go down right away. Separate rules, separate system. And then you're going to step in here and say, all right, we're below the support on the open. We're below the support here. You know, now we're clearly the backside is in. All these people are underwater. All these people are underwater. And now the backside is, we're below VWAP. We're holding below VWAP. We have that kill candle to the downside. We have a nice increase in volume that comes in. Although, you know, not the greatest kill candle that comes in. You know, I would definitely like to see more volume come in on this kill candle down here to confirm that it's the kill candle. And we'll compare it to other kill candles in the future. But looking for that consolidation below VWAP, holding below there, is the trade that you're going to talk about, right?
Yeah.
And so that has a separate system and separate rules and is a trade for somebody who has your temperament. And that's significant.
Another important thing about these stocks is that, you know, the float's rotating so many times. Because of that, most people are actually, you know, long or have a position at that top consolidation, you know, above 17, which is another key thing. So when it finally does snap that level, you know, panic ensues and everybody wants to, you know, panic sell out of it. So here's ideally how I would have managed the position. So we have the snap and we actually get halted here. And the reason I wouldn't wait for this right here is because of the halt. That probably freaked a lot of people out. And when it opened up, we were just kind of staying down here. So I would scale in just a feeler position right after the halt.
Right after the halt, it wasn't trading higher.
Right, it wasn't trading higher.
And that in of itself gives you the idea to get into some.
Right.
Okay.
So that's the only reason I would scale into a feeler position there, just because of the halt. Ideally, I'd like to wait for it to, you know, kind of pull back, consolidate, and then roll over like right here. But then I would add again as this, you know, little bear flag right here starts to break to tier 2, and, you know, take off half the position when we start to pull back here. Because we've seen a lot, you know, this can happen and we can come right back to VWAP if there's enough buyers. But then we start to consolidate, we move a little bit higher and higher and higher, and then we come up right against this $15 level and can't get above it. And then we start to roll over. We see this pattern right here. And this is ideally where I'd like to start hammering in some size. So to me, right here, this is the backside trade. Basically, I would scale into, tier 3, a little bit here, a little bit lower, and then finally when it starts to like snap right here, I want to be up to tier 3, looking for new lows. And basically it snaps through the lows. We halt again here, and I believe at the same time they had announced their second offering, which is pretty bad timing. It's going to freak even more people out. So at this point I'm thinking, okay, this could definitely go a few more dollars. Then we snap even lower and then come right down into 10 where we find some support. So right here I'd want to take off 2/3 of the position. It's a pretty big run from 15 down to 10 really fast. And basically I would want to hold some of the position in case we grind lower. And we do actually break through 10, come a bit lower, and ideally when there's a little change here in characteristics, we can start to grind back towards 9. That's when I would hit out of the last tier.
That is a nice rollover pattern. You chose that 10, I think, also because that was the second offering that got announced?
Right, at $10. Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, good. And so, yeah, that's a trade decision right there. And then when we get below that 10 level again, you had a choice to put some back on. So when you take something off and you still think something has a lot more to go and you have a support level of 10 that gets put in, you can get back in. One of the things that certainly happens with these stocks is that you remember that it was $18.40, and so it seems absurd to be shorting it a couple hours later below 10, and that may be in certain cases, but you've got a lot of sideways action down there towards 10. There's some time that goes by. That makes it a little safer to go ahead and momentum trade that below 10, as absurd as that may seem, because it's 80% lower. But the key there, though, is keep in the back of your mind where you think this thing can go to. Jacob, I think you think this thing can go to 40 cents or much lower. Where do you think this can go to? $5?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think the thing I have in the back of my head while something like this is going on is, I want to make sure I see new sellers coming in, because at the point where there are new sellers, there might not be many new buyers, but if there are new sellers, you're not going to have the same downward momentum. So, yeah, yesterday, going from 18, 5, 6.
Yeah, I mean, it's still, the point is that it still can go a lot lower than 10. As silly as that seems, since it was 1840, you do want to keep that in the back of your mind. So if you get an opportunity, even 80% lower, it can. Sometimes the shorts are really easy, a lot lower, and if you don't feel comfortable swinging them, you can momentum trade them. But don't let that easy money. Take that easy money and put it in the bank. And then we talked about this yesterday, which is today, obviously, a lot more easy money in it. Had a couple of spike ups that didn't make a whole lot of sense after this backside had been put in, and guys did a nice job of really shorting it again today after this move down. Go ahead and click our subscribe button so you don't miss any of the videos that we're producing for the trading community. And please add your feedback in the comments section for what videos you'd like for us to produce next and what you found helpful from this video. From all of us at SMB, train and trade well.